Dump it. Dump it again.
No, no, no!
And again.
What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of CryptoZombie, and well, would you have a look at this bloody red market day? Now, some of you might be out there panicking. For me, I look at this and I say, this is a fire sale. This is an excellent opportunity to buy the dip. But I know some of you might be saying, but what if this is not the dip? What if we keep dipping? What if this is the top? What if we had the double top and now that's it? And I'll see you in 4 years. Well, I can understand if you're new why this type of price action could be a little bit discouraging. I do want to talk about the fact, though, that we have had this target in the blue box territory for over 2 weeks now on the channel. I have been pointing and saying that it was a possibility, and today, right now, as I make this video, we are sitting perfectly in the bottom target of this rising wedge. So we might sit back and say, hey, great, we're at the bottom. It's time to put in those 100x longs. Definitely not a good idea to do that right now, but could you be scaling potentially into a trade, or should we be worried, and is this support about to break? That is the biggest question on everyone's mind. A lot of people right now are getting very negative. I've seen a lot of concern over on Twitter and Telegram and even in the comments below, and it's understandable if you're new. This type of price action can be scary, but it's not like we haven't seen this before. We had it at 42K. You could see we had it right here from 58 all the way down to 43. So this is all part of a healthy market. So in today's video, I do want to talk about what I foresee. I'm going to keep it basically just price today. I know that's mostly what people want to hear about. And I also want to talk about, yes, there is a potential level that if we do break down to that, then yes, I would start getting worried. We're not at that level yet, but I want to let you know where I think Bitcoin would officially be in the danger zone, and I'll let you know what I am expecting moving forward. So if that sounds good to you, you know what to do. If you're not subscribed, definitely consider it. And without further ado, let's get back to the chart, because this is what everyone is here for. Now, I just want to start out by pointing out, if we have a look at traditional stocks right now, you have the S&P. The S&P is actually falling. We've been falling pretty much for the past few weeks. And the other thing to note is that the DXY, the dollar index, has actually been pumping. So the dollar index is going up. And we know that when the dollar appears to be strengthening, even though we know it's a bit of an illusion because it's not, because they're literally printing tons of money, but for argument's sake, having a look at this chart, we have been rising. Now, I just want to point out on the dollar chart, we are hitting a bit of resistance right here, right? You can see how important this level was in holding us back here. We had a little bit of a bounce for support right here, but we had more resistance right here, and it looks like we're hitting that resistance again, right? So do keep your eyes on this. This does often affect traditional stocks. We do have a lot of institutions in Bitcoin right now. Wall Street traders, they kind of, even though Bitcoin is not exactly a stock, they still kind of go into it with the same mindset, right? So there is that potential that if the dollar starts to fall, this will actually be good for things like Bitcoin. Now, going over and having a look at the CME futures chart, you will notice that we have actually fallen below this critical level of the resistance that was acting as support, but currently we are sitting below it. Now, the level of most accumulation for the VPVR, as you can see right here, is down around 47,000. Now, we have spoken about the $47,000 level on the channel. This is a very, very huge support for Bitcoin. Lots of huge whale activity, lots of volume at this level. So this could be a possible level to look for that flip, right? Oftentimes, you want to flip the previous resistance into support, and the other way around, which is what could be happening, is when you start to get bearish. Now, if you had been watching the channel, I told you guys, short term, you can check my video from 3 days ago. I said short term, I was a little bit bearish on Bitcoin. It was looking like the resistance was getting out of hand. Does this change my mid to long term outlook? Absolutely not. I still remain bullish on Bitcoin. You could see we have a very clear uptrend, and we're putting in higher highs and higher lows. And you could argue that, okay, we kind of broke this structure right here. But if you want to actually look at the drawdowns, they're getting smaller and smaller. So look at this, guys. When Bitcoin was at 42,000 and we had the top, we had a 32% correction down to $28,800. And then we went up to a new high of 58,000. Actually, we put up a new high right at 46, and then we went to 58. From 58, so we had a 32% pullback. Right here, we pulled down from 58 to 43. That was a 26% pullback. So we went from a 32 to a 26. All the time, putting in a higher high, putting in a higher low. Now what we're having right here is a very similar situation. We went up to 62,000 and we have pulled up a little bit, but we did go all the way down to about $50,300, and that was about a 19% pullback. So what we are seeing structurally is higher highs, higher lows, and smaller pullbacks, okay? These are just the motions of a healthy market. Having a look right here, pointing out to the fact that we have had the 50. Now, we do talk a lot about the 21 exponential. That is great to look at on the daily when you are looking for that support, right, during the uptrend. Then when it breaks down, you're looking at the resistance. But if you want to look at the ultimate support that we've always had during this entire run, all the way back since October of last year, is the 50. Now, I have two of them. I have the 50 and the 50 exponential, okay? They're basically the same, give or take, but some people prefer the exponentials. Anyway, you could see that no matter how you look at it, they both have provided support for Bitcoin. We had a retest right here and a beautiful bounce. We almost tested it here and we bounced. And you could see if I zoom in, what are we doing right now? We're sitting directly on the 50 EMA, and we did wick slightly below the 50. But once again, it is providing that support. So this is just, like I keep saying, a healthy market trend. Now, I know yesterday we had the price pumping, right? And it did seem pretty optimistic. We were all excited, right? But keep in mind that that was because of the Elon Musk tweet. Now, just keep in mind, the last time that this happened with Elon Musk, okay? This was right here, January 29th. We had this crazy pump from bottom to top. Bitcoin pumped all the way from 32,000 to 38,700. We had a 20% pump in literally a day, only to come all the way back down to the exact same levels. And the reason for this is because you might have heard the saying, show me the chart, I'll tell you the news. These news stories, they can pump markets short term, but at the end of the day, the market structure is really what you need to pay attention to. And some people say, oh, TA doesn't work, it's just a bunch of hocus pocus. Yeah, well, if TA doesn't work, then why did we have that pullback? Why did we come down? Well, we came down because, well, I actually took the line out, but you can see right here, we had massive resistance. Look at this resistance right here, okay? Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times right here, right? So after a while, it finally gives up and it comes back down to test the lower supports. And you can see right here, we are perfectly in this ascending wedge. Nothing has changed. We dance around the heart line a little bit, we test the top. We come down, dance around the heart line, we test the bottom. We test the heart line, we test the top. We test the heart line, we test the bottom. This is just what happens in healthy markets, right? But what if we do break down? What if we do fall down to the downside, right? Now, I did see an interesting fractal from Kaleo. He did point out that this does look kind of similar to something that happened in 2017. And while fractals are very fun to look at, they're not always the best thing. They're more entertaining than anything. But having a look at this would suggest that we would be at a very similar pattern to what was happening right here, where Bitcoin fell from around 4,600 down to about 2,600. Now, if we were to do that same drop today, that would bring Bitcoin probably down to about the $40,000 level. So do I think Bitcoin will go down to $40,000? Well, we do know that there's a lot of the support at the $47,000 level. That is the whale level, but will it hold? So this is exactly what I'm looking at. We haven't changed anything on this. And essentially, what you would be looking for, worst case scenario, everything is going red, totally bleeding, full on dump, we would be looking for Bitcoin to essentially retest the previous high, which was right down here. Depending on which exchange you check, it's between 42,150 and 43,412. Now, the reason I like the $43,000 level is because that's where we had multiple wicks down here on our ascending, in our ascending wedge, right? So essentially, and let's just do the math, we know that Bitcoin is infamous for these 30% pullbacks, right? So from the top right here, if we go down 30%, that brings us exactly to the 43,200 $215 level. So what should we take away from this? Well, as far as I'm concerned, we are in an area where I do believe we're due for a bounce. It is an iffy area. We have to see how it plays out. We have to wait for confirmation. I could see Bitcoin easily bouncing from this area up to about $64,000. Now, obviously, we know that the options, $6 billion in options, are expiring tomorrow, right? This has historically been a negative sell-off event for Bitcoin. 8 out of 10 times we're selling off, right? But the good news is that it usually has a very quick, massive recovery. And often in hindsight, it's one of those, you kick yourself. Why didn't I buy this dip? I knew it was coming, right? So that's like the best case scenario. The worst case scenario is we do continue to break down and we fall down to the $43,000 level. Now, if we were to do that, that would it would invalidate this wedge, but it wouldn't invalidate it. We would just fall out of it. But you can see right here, that would actually be a giant double bottom, right? So where we have, you have a double top, you have a double bottom. Double bottoms in Bitcoin, as you can see right here, are actually some of the most bullish patterns ever in Bitcoin's history. You can go way back in the Bitcoin chart and you can find, I don't know if hundreds, but you can find a lot of double bottoms that often ended in massive breakouts for Bitcoin. So it would probably be the most bearish thing that could happen, if that makes sense. Like, it would be bearish, but it would actually be bullish because we'd be setting up a giant double bottom. So either way, I am not a Bitcoin bear as long as we stay above $43,000. I hope I make that clear to everybody. I'm not a bear, but I'm letting you know 43,000 would be the area where we have to bounce, right? Now, if we fall below 42,000, okay, I'm not talking about a wick. I'm not talking about a 4-hour candle. I'm talking about something significant, okay, like a weekly. We could even close a daily candle. We can have a fake out. But if we have a weekly candle, okay, that closes below this $43,000 level, then I would get very, very worried, and I would start to think maybe it's time to start reevaluating our strategy. Now, before we move on, I just want to talk about this chart. I used to use this chart a lot, especially during the beginning of the rally where we came out of the bear market. This is called the Super Guppy. A lot of you that have been around on this channel, you've seen this chart a lot. Essentially, this chart basically just shows when Bitcoin is entering its bullish cycles. And you can see that basically once it starts green, like as soon as it turns green, it stays green for a very, very long time. You could see, right here, for example, the distance between here to here was 819 days before we went back into the gray zone. And then that was where we started having the bear market, right? Technically, you could argue that the bear market started a little bit earlier. It is a little bit of a lagging indicator. But the real point I'm trying to make is that when it stays green for a very long time. You could see right here, it actually flipped green in January of 2016. And from when it actually flipped back to not being green, that was 882 days. So we're noticing a bit of a pattern here, right? Usually somewhere around the mid to late 800s. So if we have a look at where we are right now, where we flipped green, which was roughly around May 27th of 2019, and we go to where we are right now, we have only been doing this for 665 days. This suggests that we should have another 200 days, roughly, give or take, of Bitcoin price action, right? And if we were to pull that out, let's say 850, that would actually show that the bull market would end sometime around potentially September, October of this year. This is the target we've been looking at. This is the 4-year cycle for Bitcoin. This is what Bitcoin has always done, right? It has the halving built in. This is the mechanism for Bitcoin price appreciation. In fact, a lot of people don't think that Satoshi cared about price. He actually did. In fact, he said multiple times that one of the things that would be attractive to Bitcoin would be the price. Psychologically, people want to invest and hold things that go up in value. And that's exactly why the 4-year cycle, the halving cycle, was built into Bitcoin. So to summarize, $43,000, if we lose that level, I would be very worried if we close a weekly candle below it. I do believe that we are still in the bull run. I do believe that we have about at least 200, 200 something days. Who knows the exact date? Nobody knows that. At least 200 days, to the peak of the cycle. And yeah, I mean, I think that this is just honestly a dip buying opportunity. I mean, as long as you're not over leveraged right now, this is the opportunity to be buying, right? And you can see, guys, trend is your friend. This trend is not coming down. I mean, look at this trend right here compared to where we are. You can see clearly we're not at the end of the cycle just yet. And getting back to our good old buddy Michael Saylor, I think that this is probably a good place to and actually, you know what? We'll do a little quick Ethereum analysis as well after this, because some people are going to ask about that. But he says, I could see Bitcoin going to 1 million. I could see it going to 5 million, because if it simply replaces all the indexes as monetary index money, why shouldn't it go to 100 trillion in market cap? In my life, I've never seen something that was such a screaming signal. You've got a $200 to $300 trillion addressable market. You've got a problem. Money is not sound. You've got engineered thermodynamically sound money. You've got a dominant network. Everybody's decided it's the network. It's exploding. The signal is that it is exploding. It's growing over 200% a year for every year for 12 years running. He says that is the signal. That is the signal. Look at this chart, guys. Look at this chart. I mean, does this look like an asset that you should be getting bearish on? Does this look like something that you honestly think isn't going to be around probably for our entire lifetimes? I definitely think it is, and I think it's only a matter of time until we get more of that adoption. Oh, and this is kind of funny. Speaking of endless money printing, did you see that if you go over here now, the Fed is literally discontinuing their M1 money stock? Okay, obviously you could see how crazy this has gotten in just recent times. This is what happens when you print endless amounts of money. Obviously, this is an embarrassing chart. And yeah, guys, so what does that tell you? Like, they don't even want people to see the data anymore, right? So that is just something to consider. And for everyone asking about Ethereum right now, look, I'm going to be honest with you guys. Usually whatever Bitcoin does, it tends to amplify it within the altcoins, okay? However, if I didn't know that Ethereum was a crypto asset or that it was tied to the Bitcoin price, I would actually say that this is a pretty damn beautiful asymmetrical triangle, and it does actually look like Ethereum could actually be very close to its bottom. I could see, in worst case scenario, potentially a wick down to 1433, maybe just to fake everyone out. But, I mean, that would essentially be the double bottom for Ethereum right there. But arguably so, having a look at this, I would actually take the double bottom happening right now on this slope right here. So Ethereum actually looks like it could be ready for its double bottom. Obviously, if Bitcoin takes a massive dump, it's probably going to drag the markets down with it. But if Bitcoin goes sideways, I think Ethereum looks like it could definitely want to retest minimally, maybe up here to about the $1860 level before I would be getting concerned about that again. And the other thing, too, to note as far as altcoins are concerned, everyone's like, when alt season? The Bitcoin dominance is still struggling down here at these levels. And, if we do break down to about the 57% level, you are going to see an alt season. You are going to see altcoins probably having some ridiculous gains again, where you're going to see them going up like 50%, 30% every single day, right? For like a couple months or something like that. But yeah, I would be careful, because as I told you guys in a few videos ago that, everyone wants alt season, but alt season, the real alt season, like the big one, has usually been the indicator of the end of the market. So if I had to put my money on where the alt season would probably be this year, I would say it would happen at the end of the year. Maybe we get an alt season for Christmas, right? Because if we're looking at the Bitcoin cycle top being around September, October potentially, then I would think that late October, November into December would potentially be the alt cycle. And yeah, guys, then we're going to have to reevaluate our strategy. So essentially, guys, that is it. And also, I didn't have a lot of news today. I know a lot of people were concerned about the price, but I did want to just give you guys a friendly reminder. We do have the Shift IDO. It is happening on PokeStarter. It is happening tomorrow. So I just wanted to remind you guys. I know that it sucks right now with a lot of the red price and everything like that. Markets are definitely crazy, but there are still these great opportunities out there. Still lots of things happening over on Polkadot, PokeStarter specifically. So check that out, guys, if you are interested. But that is it for me today. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. You guys are awesome. Like I said, if you guys are freaking out right now, put the phone down, stop looking at the portfolio. Dollar cost average has always been a great strategy. You know, trading can be very risky. It's definitely not for everyone, but right now, excellent opportunity for accumulation. And, you know, if you've been waiting for the dip, well, here's the dip, right? So thank you so much again for coming back to the channel. You guys rock. I love each and every one of you. Have an excellent day. Tomorrow's Friday. We do have those options, okay? Could be a little bit shaky. Then we're going into the weekend, but I have a feeling that next week is going to be very good for Bitcoin. So that is it for me. Thanks again. My name is K-Dub. This is CryptoZombie. And if you haven't checked out these videos popping up right here, right now, check them out. And until next time, stay crypto. And of course, peace out.